let's talk about some of the draft rumors out there stemming from the NFL Combine, primarily centered around Shedeur Sanders, because his name has popped up a ton when talking about the Browns and the number 2 draft pick. So I want to spend some time reacting to some of the rumors that were posted and give you my thoughts in terms of how realistic and credible some of these things are here. But Shedeur has really pulled away as one of the favorites for the Browns with the number 2 draft pick. Now, it is smokescreen season, so I don't think it's appropriate to say take everything with a grain of salt. It's a few notches above a grain of salt because when you're picking number 2, it's a lot easier for the NFL draft gurus and insiders to have an idea of what you're doing because all they got to figure out is what one team above you is doing. Whereas when you're picking 10, 11, 12, they got to figure out what 9, 10 teams in front of you are doing to figure out what you could be doing. But there were a handful of draft rumors that came out of the Combine. The Combine, which I went to, is an awesome place to network, and it's filled with coaches, GMs, and agents hanging out at bars until 3 a.m. We went to Prime 47, a steakhouse, our last night there. We got kind of a later reservation, and we were one of the last tables to finish eating because once we finished, they folded up all the tables, and it just turned into an absolute club filled with coaches and GMs. I had to walk past Mike McDonald and Joe Shane just to get out to the front door. So the first draft rumor that came out, though, and I want to go in a little bit of a specific order, is Cam Ward is quarterback 1, and it's not even that close with Shedeur. People are not debating if it's Ward or Sanders for QB1. No, the debate has actually turned to Cam Ward number 1, and is Jaxson Dart quarterback 2, and is he overtaking Shedeur? Here's what Matthew Berry, the old fantasy football guru, had to say in his 25 rumors from the NFL Combine. A few folks said to me it was a much closer discussion about Shedeur Sanders versus Jaxson Dart than Sanders versus Ward. So the consensus from most people, let's say 90% of people from the Combine that I spoke with and just kind of interacted with and heard was Cam Ward is quarterback 1, and there's a big drop-off after that. And I'm going to echo what Barry said right there. So that leaves us with these 3 quarterbacks to really keep an eye on when it comes to who could be a round 1 quarterback the Cleveland Browns go after. Ward, Sanders, and Jaxson Dart. And I don't want to spend too much time today breaking down Cam Ward or Jaxson Dart's film because all eyes are on the first 2 names right there. I think Ward, by the way, is just going to go first overall. I don't know to who yet, though. It does not appear like the Titans are going to go take a quarterback, which I don't think is a bad idea because personally, I don't think it's that great of a quarterback class. I don't view any of these quarterbacks as guys who could be a future MVP contender, and that's usually what you're hoping for when you take a quarterback first overall. But Cam Ward, I think, is going to go number 1, and it may not be to Tennessee. It could be to the New York Giants. They could be looking to move up in the draft and get their quarterback of the future, or at least get the quarterback that could keep Joe Shane and Brian Dable employed for another season in the Meadowlands. Now, more rumors to get to and how the Browns are implicated in all these rumors. But first things first, I was looking over the YouTube analytics so far, and I want to do a quick race with our Bengals breakdown channel here at Chat Sports to the next milestone. So for us, that's 43,000 subscribers. For them, that is 18,000 subscribers. They got a slight lead on us, but I got faith in the dog pound for erasing that lead. Scroll on down, click that sub button if you are a fan of the real team from Ohio. Now, the second draft rumor is the Browns are going to stay put at number 2 and just take a quarterback. They're not interested in giving up picks to move up to the number 1 spot. They're not interested in trading back. They like Cam Ward. They like Shedeur Sanders, and they are content to just stay put and take whichever quarterback falls to them at the number 2 spot, which most likely would be Shedeur Sanders. I would be blown away. You know what? I'll say this. If Shedeur goes first overall, I might bring up the Lake Erie Polar Plunge bet. That's how confident I am that Shedeur is not going first overall, and it's really about the Browns are comfortable with staying put at number 2 and taking Sanders. Here's what Dan Graziano from ESPN said. The overwhelming belief of the people I spoke to this week is that the Browns' plan is to stay put at number 2 in the draft and take one of the top quarterbacks. Their preference between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders is unclear, but if one goes at number 1, I believe they'd be okay with taking the other. I don't agree/believe this. I don't agree with the thinking of the Browns should be content to stay put at number 2 and just take which quarterback falls to them. It's not going to be a mystery. It will be Shedeur Sanders. There is no chatter of Sanders going first overall. There's more chatter about Sanders going in round 2 than going in number 1. So the question really is, are you comfortable with taking Shedeur at the number 2 spot? I don't agree with the idea of the Browns should just sit back and wait and see who falls to them. If you want Cam Ward, go out and get him. If you believe, I don't, but if the franchise and the decision makers believe that is a franchise quarterback, that's an X factor, that's a difference maker, then go make a move up to number 1 if that pick is available. Who gives a crap about a future second or third round pick? If that's what it costs to secure, in your eyes, the franchise quarterback, then make the move. We're not talking about giving up multiple firsts. When the Bears moved up from 3 to 2 to get Mitch Trubisky, they gave up a third-round draft pick. I think it was third. It was no earlier than a second. Sure, it was not a good move because Mitch didn't turn out to be a good quarterback. But I don't disagree with the line of thinking of, yeah, if you're absolute about this guy being your guy, then it's worth giving up a day 2 pick to make sure he's on your roster and not play tummy sticks and see, ooh, but he could fall to us. What happens if the Giants jump up and now that you're not getting your guy? So I don't agree with this idea of the Browns should just sit back and take whichever quarterback falls to them. No, go get your guy. But none of these guys are my guys, so I wouldn't, but I still would encourage the Browns to, have a spine and go get the quarterback they believe is the difference maker for them. I also don't believe this. And this is just me giving my 2 cents here. I've got a tough time believing the Browns went to Indianapolis and as a franchise that never likes talking to the media. How many times do we hear Andrew Berry say, guys, I really don't think that's appropriate to discuss right now. I'm not comfortable with sharing that with you guys. How many times does Kevin Stefanski say the bare minimum and just run off the podium? I'm supposed to believe these 2 guys sat down, got blitzed and hammered, and was like, we're going to tell Dan Graziano and Matthew Berry everything. Doesn't seem like them, does it? I'm trying to think of the angle that they can use to have them have this benefit them by people knowing their plan. But no, something's just not passing the smell test for me. Knowing how the Browns operate, have they ever really revealed much? We didn't even know they were after Brandon Ayuk until the last moment. And that was going on for a long time. I'm not really buying it. But maybe it's a Jimmy Haslam thing. Maybe it's Haslam saying, we're getting a new stadium soon. We need season ticket holders. I need butts in seats to pay for this. So go get a quarterback and make it work. Even if you don't think he is a second overall pick worthy guy, I don't care. I'm hiring you guys to make this work. Now, if the Browns do prefer Cam Ward over Shedeur Sanders, I think they should trade up to number 1. I think they should have that line of thinking. I don't think Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is worth trading up for. But if they do believe it, don't half-ass it. Don't sit back and go, well, we'll just take whoever falls to us. No. Be aggressive. Go get your guy of the future if you think he is your future quarterback. The third rumor. Shedeur Sanders kind of bombed at the combine. This is a sensitive topic because some analysts are going to be very quick and already have been to rush in and defend Shedeur Sanders, and this becomes a bit of a polarizing conversation because he showed up to his press conference with a, sideways hat and didn't look the most professional, didn't look the most job interview-esque. And some people have looked at that as a thing to point at and not quite make fun of, but to poke holes in and use as evidence and reasoning as to why they don't like that quarterback. I think there should be some level of, hey, this is a job interview, so look your best. But also, this is a new era of college football players going into the draft where these guys aren't poor. These guys have a lot of money from NIL. So they're not going to act like they are, hungry and need a job so badly and put their best foot forward, which I still think they should. No, they've made a lot of money already, so they're going to kind of act like they've made some money already. Now, this is what Matthew Berry wrote, and I think it's really important to listen and read. I spoke with two people on two different teams that met with Sanders, and completely independently of each other, they had the exact same things to say. They both said it was a bad meeting and that he came off as unprofessional and disinterested. Both also said that after the meeting, they had a lesser opinion of him than prior. Shedeur is a unique prospect because he is one of the more notable NIL type prospects where he comes in being Deion Sanders' son to begin with, and he's not poor. I don't know how else to describe it, right? He's made a lot of money already. So he kind of has some confidence already and isn't approaching these meetings as I'm trying to find some line of work because I have no money in my bank account right now. The NIL is going to change how the way players behave at the combine, and it's going to have to change the way teams look at players at the combine. But I still am a little hesitant to fully believe what Berry is saying. Not believe. I don't think he's making that up. But I do think it's worth noting that those two independently different coaches and sources maybe are like the Jets and the Raiders, who want to give the Browns chills about taking Sanders and spook them so that Shedeur could fall to them. That's a very real possibility. Now, if you've noticed, I've referenced Matthew Berry a couple of times in this video. He puts out a great article with all the rumors and all the stories from the combine. I really recommend you go read it. And while I am putting a lot of my faith in him because I'm using him as a quality source here, I think it's important to look back at what he said last year at the combine. Does this guy know what he's even talking about? Last year, he said Stephon Diggs is going to leave Buffalo. Check. He said Saquon Barkley is going to leave New York and Daniel Jones will stay. Check. He said Baker Mayfield will re-sign with Tampa. Check. He said the Cardinals, at number 4, are going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. Check. He said T. Higgins will not be traded. Check. Now, he did not go 25 for 25, but I just want to show this to you guys so you can have a little bit of credibility with Berry. The fourth and final draft rumor is the Browns like Sanders and Ward almost equally. And we touched on this during the second rumor, but I want to really dive into it because I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't fully believe that, nor do I think that's a good thing to have in mind here because Berry once again says, the one team I heard that did like Sanders was Cleveland. They liked Ward as well, but they would be good with either. So despite the Browns being the current DraftKings betting favorite to draft Travis Hunter, everything I heard was that Cleveland is going QB, and they are good with either guy. I prefer Cam Ward over Shedeur Sanders, but it doesn't appear that Ward is going to slip past number 1, and it doesn't appear based on all these rumors the Browns are going to go up to number 1. So that means Shedeur Sanders is your guy at number 2. So let's talk about Shedeur as a prospect a little bit more. Some pros and cons, right? Everyone likes a good pros and cons list. Pro, great accuracy. Set the college football record for completion percentage in his career at 71.8%. This past season at Colorado, he completed 74% of his passes. He's also really good at reading defenses, going through his progressions. He's smart with the football. Somewhat reminiscent of like Brock Purdy, a guy who had a lot of experience at Iowa State and gets to the NFL, and that experience pays off because he is smart with the football and he's accurate as well, despite not having a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes type arm strength. Last pro for Shedeur, he's a tough player. Guy got sacked 99 times at Colorado. I don't remember him missing serious time. So with every hit, he got back up. He was not behind a all-pro caliber type of offensive line for the Buffaloes, and he took a beating, and he got up and made play after play after play. So some fair and very good pros for Shedeur's profile. But as you probably all know, I'm not a big fan of the Browns going with either quarterback, to be honest with you, at number 2. Some cons. Lacks arm strength. There's no elite arm talent here. There's nothing about Shedeur's tape that tells me here's someone who's rolling out of the pocket and can make an incredible throw across his body to the other sideline. In fact, one of the concerns I've seen is while he is accurate, the downfield tight window accuracy, which that was kind of like Deshaun Watson's best trait coming out of Clemson, that's not really there with Shedeur because he's a little late to throw the ball. He holds on to the ball a lot for a very long time. And because of the lack of arm strength and just pure velocity on his passes, he's holding on to it for a while, and it doesn't have a ton of zip, and defenses are going to be all over this ball while it hangs up in the air since he's already held on to it for a second too long anyway, and now the safety can get in better position. So that's a concern. Also, he did not throw at the Shrine Bowl or at the Senior Bowl. He did not throw at the Combine, and there's just not a ton out there about his arm strength and accuracy down the field because 61.7% of his passes were either behind the line of scrimmage or from 0 to 9 yards. I'm talking just depth of the pass. Not like if you dump it off to your running back and he runs 40 yards. That's not a 40-yard pass in this. That's a 0-yard pass. So, for reference, Cam Ward was like 51%. Jaxson Dart was 50%. So, a lot more sample size of downfield passing, which with Sanders visiting the Browns on Wednesday, I'm sure they want to test out that arm strength. And that leads me to this right here. His visit with Cleveland will be huge. Bo Nix was a player who did not throw the ball downfield much at all in Oregon. He was a bigger check down guy than Sanders was. And the Broncos were very adamant after they drafted him that when Nix came to visit and they tested him on his downfield passing, they were very confident. Plenty of college offenses and defenses are not designed around the player. No, it's a system, and they expect the player to fit the system. So with Sanders, maybe the system was just check it down, but there was a whole other side to him they never got to. And the Browns have to find out if that other side exists. If not, using a second overall pick on what kind of appears to be like a game manager at best, is just irresponsible. There's a lot of reasons to and dislike Shedeur as a draft prospect, but to me, there's a lot of quarterbacks who had great completion percentage in college that didn't work out in the NFL. Colt McCoy, I think Zach Wilson was pretty accurate at BYU. At least high completion percentage, and a lot of that's because of the types of passes and routes they were throwing. And I don't think have enough evidence to really see the downfield work from him to believe, like, here's a guy that can really make it work in the NFL where you're taking an incredibly impressive quarterback who can make all types of throws. That's why quarterbacks go in round one, right? That's why Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Watson and Caleb Williams and so many other, Justin Herbert, so many other quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence went round one because they showcased they can make difficult downfield passes. I'm sure there are examples of it, but not a lot. And it would have been nice for Sanders to throw at the Combine and show that he can make those downfield passes. So you can probably already guess where I'm going with this, but my answer is no. I'm passing on Shedeur Sanders at number 2. If Shedeur is successful in the NFL, it'll be a hand-up moment for me. And by successful, you know what I mean? Like a good starting quarterback for a long time for the team that drafts him. But everything about him screams, could be good in the right system. Why should we believe the Browns are the right system? They don't have a running back. They're missing a left tackle. If they believe DeJuan Jones is that, hopefully he can lose some weight and not keep re-injuring his knee. Their offensive line is aging and declining. They've got Jerry Jeudy, who's really good. We don't really know what we have in Cedric Tillman exactly, but no, this does not seem like an offense where, like when Brock Purdy stepped into San Francisco, had Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Debo, Brandon Ayuk, and he was really good with those guys. And I think he could be good on his own as well, but not nearly as good without those players. I think the same is true for Shedeur. He could be good, but I don't think he'll be in Cleveland. And that sounds like a cop-out, but that's, I think, a fair answer. Let's pick a card to wrap up what's already been a very long episode. Which card do you want to go with, Mr. Barkus?
We just had a king. I'm going with Ace of Hearts.
Ace of Hearts? Give me 6 of clubs. 6 of clubs. I was thinking this because Shedeur is number 2, and I was like, I should probably go with number 2. It's 2 of hearts. Two of hearts. Damn it. That will do it for us on today's episode. Thanks for watching and tuning in. Like and subscribe. You know all the cliches, and I'll see all of you tomorrow.